Here's a question that you might think is really simple, or then again, maybe not. You invest 5,000 Rand in an account. 15 years later, your fund balance is 50,000 Rand. You make no interim additions or withdrawals. You want to calculate the annual return on this account using your calculator's 5 key TVM inputs. Therefore, you enter n equals 15, followed by one of the available options, A through D. These all have the correct amounts for present and future value, differing only in their positive or negative signs. To compute the annual discount rate, which option is correct? Pause the video if you like and decide on your answer. If you chose A or B, here is what your calculator's response would have been. Not very happy. Errors all around. If you chose C or D, you would end up with the correct answer, which is an annual return of 16.6%. In a pedantic sense, however, only option D is correct. So why did option C also produce the right answer? And why are A and B so disastrously wrong? Welcome back to the Finance Fundamentals TVM crash course. In this episode, I help you with a crucial aspect of financial calculations, understanding cash flow signs. This can be confusing whether you are a beginner or even if you have muddled successfully through all of this before. But it is fundamental for getting your TVM and DCF calculations right and avoiding the dreaded error 5 or no solution messages. So let's get right into it. In the previous episodes of the crash course, I discussed calculator basics, focusing on getting to know the calculator layout, setting it up, clearing the right parts of registers and memory, and step-by-step key presses for TVM and DCF calculations. If you've missed those, I highly recommend checking them out in the TVM crash course playlist on the Finance Fundamentals channel. In this video, we turn attention to a seemingly simple yet profoundly important aspect, the direction of the cash flows on your timeline. Why do cash flow signs matter? When you're using your financial calculator, you'll notice it insists on differentiating between money going out and money coming in. This is not just an irritating quirk. It is a reflection of real-world financial transactions. The act of making an investment means money going out, which is why that would be marked as a negative cash flow. Conversely, returns on your investment are money coming in, recorded as positive numbers. The cash flow sign convention of inflow equals positive and outflow equals negative is exactly the same across the HP12C, the BA2+, and the HP10B. In addition, you will find it unchanged in Excel and also in the NumPy library in Python. So as far as the eye can see, it would seem that all cash inflows are positive and all outflows are negative. But not so fast. When it comes to the TVM equations, all cash flows are treated as positive. Why is this, and how could this possibly work? It all comes down to an emphasis on the mathematical relationships between absolute values, focusing on the change in those values over time. The equations leave it up to you, the human being, to interpret the directionality of your result. In contrast, the calculators, spreadsheets, and programming language functions enforce cash flow signs on you so that you avoid errors and inconsistencies. This means that the equations are at their best when dealing with simpler situations, such as transforming a single future value into a present value. Calculators and other machine-based methods might force you to think about cash flow direction, but they are very useful for more complex timelines. The final issue for this video takes us back to the question at the start. Why doesn't it matter whether you use the signs in option C or the ones in option D? This all comes down to the fact that the cash flows in a TVM scenario are the direct result of some kind of financial contract, and there are two parties to a contract. Let's take the example of a 4-year 10% coupon rate bond as our financial contract. One of the parties to this contract is the investor, and the other is the company which issued the bond. Imagine now that you are the investor. You buy the bond, and that's money out of your pocket, which is to say a negative cash flow. Then, over time, you receive coupon payments, and the contract term ends with you getting back the bond's face value. All of these are positive cash flows to you, and you would set up your timeline accordingly. Now, we flip the frame of reference. From the point of view of the company that issued the bond, the initial cash flow is money received and therefore positive, and all subsequent cash flows are outgoing and recorded as negatives. So the company's timeline looks like this. Perhaps you can now see that when considering the contractual relationship between the investor and the company, they are involved in a zero-sum game as far as the cash flows are concerned. Each one's cash inflow is the other's cash outflow, so things cancel out. And more importantly, any TVM calculations will have exactly the same result in terms of absolute values, regardless of whose point of view you take. But you must be careful. Consistency is key. If you mix up the signs within a single calculation, things will go horribly wrong. That is why it is crucial to choose a perspective and to stick to it. In the TVM crash course, we usually take the investor's point of view, but as you have just seen, this does not have to be an ironclad rule. As you practice, remember that getting comfortable with the cash flow signs is not just a matter of mindlessly punching numbers into your calculator. It's about understanding the story behind those numbers. In other words, the real-world financial contracts that they represent. And that wraps up our discussion on cash flow signs. As always, if you have questions or need further explanation, drop a comment down below. And stay tuned for more episodes in the TVM Crash Course, where we'll continue to unravel the complexities of finance in a simple and approachable manner. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.